Welcome, Sanctuary. Welcome into a safe space to explore the experience of emotional flooding. Join me in a comfortable seat, cross-legged or sitting on your heels, and begin to touch your fingers to each palm, waking up sensation. Keep warming up your palms and the backs of your hands as I trace the shape of today's practice. Together we will step into the story of Medusa, unknotting a tangle of emotions that flood our inner temple and petrify the breath in the throat. This is the geography of the shutdown. The quiet terrain where the protector self arises too swiftly, too fiercely, too completely. Flooding is not an emotion we choose, but today we choose to listen to it. I designed this yin yoga flow to help me process the experience of flooding while creating the labyrinth, snakes, and sanctuaries. In this pattern, walkers wander inside the moment a boundary is broken, starting within the frozen heart before being spat out with a hiss, or by circling the periphery with caution and care, serpents curling into pathways that lead to the heart of the matter. Continue allowing your hands to gift yourself touch wherever it's craved. This is an intermediate practice, in as much as it asks you to take care of yourself on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and at all points. It has been structured around 6 moments frozen in time where we will practice a series of ways to create sanctuary, since flooding's muddy waters often require more than one coping strategy. I will prompt you, just as if we are playing a game of freeze tag, and when you hear me say freeze, become stone. Arrive. Breathe. Follow my invitations, or whatever arises naturally for you. The only way forward is you. In between these freezes are thaws that incorporate self-massage, somatic movement, and yin yoga poses held for 2 to 3 minutes. 3 props that will help support your practice are a bolster, pillow, or couch cushion, a folded blanket, and an eye pillow or folded cloth. I also recommend gathering water, a journal book, tissues, and any other aftercare that you might need following this practice. This could look like a meal, or a bath, or both. You're going through a lot right now. Satisfy your needs. Explore your wants. Now that your hands are nice and toasty, place them over your heart to set an intention. To become aware through sensory activation. To ignite boundaries with a sanctuary shield. To invite discernment. to detoxify poison, to thaw the heart, to integrate. Let us begin. Freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. 3. With a soft gaze, pick out 3 colors around you. Breathe into them one at a time. Wrap them with your awareness. Two. With a soft ear, find 2 sounds around or within you. Breathe into their shape without naming or interpreting them. Wrap them with your awareness. One. With curious hands, locate a texture. Breathe into the sensation. Wrap it with your awareness. Now, focus internally with this heightened awareness to complete these sentences. In my body, I sense and I feel. Sit with your responses, and with this knowledge, consecrate the space around you as sanctuary. Return here at any point, knowing that returning to the beginning is not a failure of your practice. It is the practice. Let's begin our movement with small, slow neck circles. Ear to shoulder, chin to chest, other ear to other shoulder, chin to chest. Trace gentle half circles at your own pace. Flooding can start small. A leak here, broken boundary there, and suddenly, as my journal book will attest, the waters rise from ankle to hips to neck, and I'm swept away. Now invite slightly larger movements. Let go. It's okay. You are allowed to be unreachable right now. Flooding drowns me in complexity. A levee's catastrophic collapse, breached by a maelstrom of emotions. I can no more distinguish individual emotions as I can separate the sound of rushing water from the blood thudding through my temples. I am vulnerable. My jugular exposed, my survival instincts kicking in to keep my head above water as my vision starts to blur and blacken. Allow your movement to ebb, your head to float back to center. Adjust your seat to exchange the cross of your legs, or sit on a folded blanket to create more space in your hips. Bring both palms to your eye sockets, letting your fingertips wrap over your forehead and skull. Guide your fingers to trace your hairline. Knead your temples. The story of Medusa from Greek mythology is hard to wrap one's head around. She didn't start out as a monster, but as a beautiful woman who was assaulted by Poseidon in the temple of Athena. Let your fingers move from your own temples to rake across your forehead. Loosen your jawline. Athena, furious that her sacred space had been defiled, punished Medusa for Poseidon's transgressions, transforming her hair to serpents and giving her a gaze that turned others to stone. There is some truth to this story. When you feel wronged, devastated, drowning, how do you lash out? Press your fingertips along and behind your ears and graze your fingernails into your scalp. Get strangely intimate. Hold your own complexity. Massage your crown of serpents. Before Medusa was myth, she was body. Before her serpents were weapons, they were sensation. Gently tug small sections of your hair. Imagine each strand as a snake, alive, alert, intelligent. Snakes are your ever-vigilant defense, your protective intelligence. They are listening to you. Press into the occipital ridge at the base of the skull. Your snakes rise up in response to fear, to harm, to injustice. Acknowledge them and their service. Freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. 3 colors, 2 sounds, 1 texture. Now, focus internally with this heightened awareness. Ignite boundaries with a sanctuary shield. With eyes open or closed, visualize a glowing ball of energy inside the center of your chest. This light is fed by your breath. Every inhale fuels it brighter, and every exhale pushes it bigger. Push the light out with each breath. What does it feel like as these energetic walls of light pass through your skin? Allow this ball of energy to hold your whole body, a shining boundary shield. Use your palms to touch the bubble. Paint the sides of it like a moving meditation, inhaling up, exhaling down. Pause, bringing your hands to your heart, and complete these sentences. In my body, I sense, and I feel. Sit with your responses, and with this knowledge, know that flooding happens when boundaries are overrun. Your sanctuary is where the boundary can be restored. From this safety, form one hand into a loose fist and begin to gently percuss the side of your neck. Behind and along the shoulder. Along the curve of your collarbone. And into the center of your chest. switch hands to access the other side of your neck. Behind it, along the shoulder. The curve of collarbone. Curiosity loosening stagnation. Center of chest. And with both hands now activating a vagus nerve response. Find your own tempo and pressure. The beating of your breast in communication, in communion with your heart. Take a full breath in and make a noise when you exhale. Tone or even hiss like a snake. With this new looseness, return to rolling your head from side to side. Engage in some soft hair tossing, or maybe not so soft. Sniff air in through your nostrils and pant it out through your mouth. Know that within this container, you can run free. You can let your hair down. Medusa, cursed and exiled, found a twisted sort of protection at the edge of the world. That is, until Perseus, using a reflective shield like a mirror, beheaded Medusa while she slept. Athena placed Medusa's head on her own shield, Aegis, where she became a protective symbol, a guardian who scared away evil. Let the sway of your head and torso bring you to your knees. Find undulations, intuitive shaking. Release your vigilance. Let go of how you think others are perceiving you. Their gaze cannot petrify. Ride the waves. Move like water. Become the flood. Freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Settle. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. 3 colors, 2 sounds, 1 texture. Now, focus internally with this heightened awareness and ignite your shining sanctuary shield. Expand the glowing ball of light to encompass your complexity. And here within your sanctuary, your inner temple, find discernment. Every flood has an origin story. How did yours begin? Now bring yourself back. Inhabit this moment, this sanctuary. What does sanctuary mean to you? When you are flooded, a sanctuary is a safe place to shut down, to rest and regenerate. This is not a practice of pushing through. It's a practice of staying with, staying afloat. Drowning in the currents of a shutdown, the protector self cannot discern between complex and competing emotions. And this is when snake bites happen. When you are flooded, become aware, ignite your sanctuary shield, and invite discernment. Naming the waters reveals options and alternative frames. Things are not always as they appear. Flooding feels like terror, but can look like stillness. Inhabit this moment and go one step further. What is freeze? And what is calm? Complete these sentences. In my body, I sense, and I feel. Sit with your responses, and with this knowledge, normalize the shutdown as an opportunity to find sanctuary, whatever it means to you in this moment. Now, let's get into the guts of the story. Stretch out on your belly. I want you to become a single one of Medusa's serpents. Alert, watchful, alive, and inwardly focused as I guide you through 3 supine poses and 3 seated exercises that channel detoxifying energy along your liver meridian and deep into your intestines. Find half frog pose by bending one knee out to the side. Turn your chin to face that knee, arms in any cactus, or pillow your head in your hands. You can place a bolster or a pillow under your torso or bent knee for a more supported variation of this pose. Move only as far as you can still breathe. This is not about how deep you can go. It's about whether you can stay. Flooding often lives in the front body, along the psoas, and this pose targets it and the liver meridian along the inner thigh. You are touching stored anger, poison, unprocessed threats. Inhale. Release, and let the floor absorb what you no longer need to carry. Begin to roll onto the hip of your straight leg, threading that arm through to find a single knee twist, opening up across the chest, reaching your top arm out in a T. Perhaps your bottom arm finds that bent knee. Maybe that knee is supported by your bolster. Your head finding any comfortable angle. Your torso, twisted like a snake, metabolizes its poison. Notice if the body softens. Let it. Notice if the body wants to close back up. Let that happen too. Medusa was transformed because something sacred was crossed. Honor your body's wisdom to close when needed. Before language, before logic, there's the low murmur of yes and no from the gut, where emotions rise up unedited. Fear lives in the gut, the body's early warning system contracting protectively around what's essential. Grief lives in the gut, a heavy settling that strangles the appetite, a loss digested over time. Memory lives in the gut, the kind your body keeps without asking, the trauma and the tenderness. Release the pose and roll back onto your belly to set up for half frog on the second side. Bend the other knee and find comfortable positions for arms, head, neck. Consider using a bolster to support your torso or bent knee. A slow stretch along the inner thigh awakens the parasympathetic system, reducing chronic gripping in the pelvis and lower abdomen. It's okay to let go. The liver meridian in traditional Chinese medicine is associated with the smooth flow of emotion. Water freezes and it floods. It also knows how to flow. Let's find the single knee twist on the opposite side now, rolling onto the hip of your straight leg and continuing the twist through your torso to open up across the chest. Top arm at a T, bottom hand finding contact with your bent knee. Allow your head to find a comfortable angle. Use a bolster as support. You are detoxifying, wringing out stagnant waters. When you untwist, blood will flood into these tissues, nourishing them. Before language, before logic, there's the low murmur of yes and no from the gut, where emotions rise up unedited. Boundaries live in the gut, the tightening when something's off, the loosening when safe. Digestion lives in the gut, that slow intelligence that turns what we take in into what carries us. Timing lives in the gut because the belly understands seasons, when to rest, when to act. Release this pose and roll back onto your belly for a 1-minute rebound. One more pause and one more pose. Here. Full frog. We'll continue the conversation that your body has been postponing. Bring both knees out to either side while you remain on your belly. Head to one side or forehead pillowed by your palms. You can modify this pose by placing a bolster full length under your torso, coming to forearms and lifting your hips up into the air to reduce the angle of upper leg to pelvis. Or even flipping over to your back for a reclined butterfly with or without a bolster along your spine. Enter this pose like approaching a threshold. Notice the instinct to push forward or retreat. See if you can pause right at the edge where intensity meets metabolism. If the pose feels like too much, this information matters. You can always come out early. You are allowed to keep some doors closed. Choosing safety is the body practicing boundary literacy. We are halfway through. Change the direction of your head or make any other adjustments. Detoxification does not require endurance. Poison leaves the body when it's safe to go. Before language, before logic, there's the low murmur of yes and no from the gut, where emotions rise up unedited. Silence lives in the gut. When the belly is calm, the body listens. Desire lives in the gut. An appetite for experience, a curiosity, a sniffing out of what might feed you next. Transformation lives in the gut, the gradual reorganization around what time and pressure has integrated. Take one last deep breath, and on your exhale, move mindfully onto your back. Hug your knees to your chest, cradling yourself, and find some gentle rocking to iron your lower back out along the floor. On your next exhale, release your knees and stretch your arms and legs straight up to the sky. Pool fluids at your core so that they can be filtered clean. Acknowledge this process of purification. On an inhale, stretch and establish length from the soles of your feet through the back of the waist. Exhale and contain your center, drawing your low belly in and up. Repeat the inhale to lengthen, exhale to gather several times, building internal heat. Feeling your legs grow lighter as your core responds. Now, begin to encourage a gentle rocking along your spine, massaging every vertebrae. I have chosen one active asana to waken and tone the guts. Boat. So, as the waters gather, let the waves of the flood lap your hull. Let the tides lift your stout and stable deck. On your next exhale, find a balance point on your hips. Ignite your core, finding the widest supportable angle of legs and torso, chest buoyant, collarbones wide, arms reaching toward the corners of your mat. Breathe and notice the warmth spreading from belly into limbs. Before language, before logic, there's the low murmur of yes and no from the gut, where emotions rise up unedited. Power lives in the gut. Resolve, the core strength that helps you stand, turn, carry, choose. Joy lives in the gut with a sudden laugh that doubles you over. The warmth of a good meal, the deep animal pleasure of satisfaction. Allow your boat to find a gentle rocking once again, bringing yourself to an easy sitting pose. Place both hands on your belly. Let your eyes slide shut. Feel the work. This next sequence of seated side body stretches will create additional space along your spine, setting up for some detoxifying breath work. Clasp your hands behind you and pull them to one side of your waist. Nod your head up and down. Shake your head side to side and from ear to ear. Feel your jugular relax and melt. Relax the clasp of your hands, leaving one hand behind you, and bring the other one across the front of your body to the opposite knee. Inhale tall, and exhale for a gentle twist, looking over your shoulder. Release the twist, sweeping your front arm overhead for a delicious side stretch. You can even come down to your forearm on bolster or mat for more depth. Come back to center and change the cross of your legs. Clasp your hands the less natural way behind your back and bring them to the opposite side of your waist. Nod your head, shake it, stretch from ear to ear. Acknowledge that low murmur of yes and no from your gut. Release your hands, leaving one behind you, setting up for the opposite side twist. Inhale tall and exhale to twist, looking over your shoulder, thanking your body for looking after you. Release the twist. Sweeping your front arm overhead, come down to your forearm on bolster or mat to get the most from this seated side stretch. settle back into an easy sitting pose, maybe adding a folded blanket under your hips, where we will set up for 3 rounds of breath work that has several names, including the very apt description, washing machine breath. This activating breath work incorporates twisting to wring out all the toxins that have surfaced thus far. Round 1. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Inhale tall. Exhale, twisting slowly to one side. Inhale through your nose to the center. And exhale through your mouth to twist to the same side. Allow your head to follow the movement if you wish. Build the depth of your breath as slow and deliberate, or as speedy and spine-tingling as you require. Detoxify the poison. Wring out what cannot stay. The next time that you reach center, freeze, become stone, breathe, invite the thaw with no demands. Round 2. Change the cross of your legs. Hands to shoulders. Inhale tall and twist to the other side. Following flooding, people need rhythm, choice, agency. Find your rhythm. The next time you reach center, freeze, become stone, breathe, invite the thaw, touch your glowing sanctuary shield. Before we begin our last round, I invite you to practice discernment. Twisting to the right hugs the ascending colon, and it may have felt activating, stimulating, energizing. Twisting to the left compresses the descending colon, and it may have felt calming, soothing, or grounding. Feel the echoes of these twists ripple. For your final round, choose the energy that calls to you. Round 3. Hands back to shoulders. Inhale tall and twist. Empty yourself. Make space. And the next time you arrive in the center, freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. 3 colors, 2 sounds, 1 texture. Ignite your shining sanctuary shield. You don't have to resolve anything, just letting things settle, listening. Invite discernment. Feel the emotions that have flooded your belly. Name them. Feel them flutter and pulse. Within the sanctuary you have created, you can feel into all your contradictions and complexities without turning to stone. Flooding is not a single clean emotion. It's a chemical surge, a toxic torrent of fear and anger, grief and vigilance, shame and memory. Within the sanctuary you have created, detoxification is already happening. The liver sifts, the intestines sort, the gut digests, a slow intelligence that ruminates and metabolizes. Complete these sentences. In my body I sense, and I feel. Sit with your responses, and with this knowledge, let your body do what it does. Transform what floods it into what can nourish and what can pass. You are your own foundation, and next I invite you to embody this knowledge through square pose. One ankle stacked on the opposite knee, shins parallel, pelvis grounded to target the outer hip. Use your blanket or bolster for more support under the top knee, and if square isn't accessible today, half shoelace with one leg straight and the other nestled on top is a wonderful alternative. Sitting upright may be enough today, or you may fold forward to any degree. Feel the weight of your bones settling downward, the sides of your hips and low back rooting. Flooding destabilizes us. It disappears the ground out from under our feet, leaving the nervous system scrambling for something solid to grip. Square reminds us that by arriving and breathing past bracing, foundations can be rebuilt. Rise up on your next breath and change sides. Square or half shoelace, you decide. Each side can be so different. Choose the shape that allows you to stay. Notice the firmness of the pose, the steadiness it asks for. Notice how it holds you without requiring movement, and also how the pose flexes with the micro movements of your breath. If emotions surface here from the flood, you don't need to follow them as they drain away. Let them pass like weather. This shape invites the hips to reorganize around what has already been released. What remains is what's ready to support you. On your next inhale, rise up and roll over crossed legs to come to all fours. Wiggle those hips. Find release, just like a puppy who's been so good and now is free to move. We've come to our last trio of asanas before Savasana, tracing the heart meridian into its beating center. Walk your hands forward, keeping your hips over your knees or on a folded blanket for puppy pose, where we activate the mirrored meridians of heart and small intestine. In the middle of the flood and after, the heart freezes. The breath grows shallow. The world feels too close. Find space in your torso with your next inhale and melt yourself open. Now, walk your hands to one side of your mat for a lateral stretch. Support your chest or head with a bolster or blanket, or let gravity do the work. Entering a frozen heart sideways, obliquely, avoids confrontation. This lateral stretch makes room without forcing its way in. Walk your hands over to the other side of the mat and set up any props to cradle you. Let your ribs widen. Let the side body speak. If you feel sensation intensify, remember stillness does not mean danger. Depth does not require collapse. Walk your palms back to center and back out of puppy pose, considering which of two options you prefer to stretch from the sides into the back of your heart. Option 1 is to come back to puppy and thread the needle, raising one arm high, threading it through the space between the opposite armpit and the ground. Option 2 is to set your bolster or even a rolled blanket perpendicular to the mat, nestling it into your armpit for a side stretch. For either option, you may wish to place a folded blanket under your head to cushion the skull, tending to those snakes one more time. To access option 2, lower yourself to one side, draping your side body over your prop, aiming that prop closer to the armpit than waist. Legs can be bent, straight, mixed, offset, your choice. Your top hand can rest along your side body or over your head for a fuller expression. Wherever you've landed, imagine your heart glowing inside your chest and target the ribs containing it. Flooding freezes the heart. The nervous system snaps to attention. Adrenaline fires. Fight, flight, freeze. The body organizes itself around our survival, and choice collapses. Prey lacks any agency beyond animal reaction. Feel how the chest narrows when safety feels uncertain. How the armpit tightens to guard the vessels that carry blood to the heart. How the breath lifts and shortens. How the hair curls and hisses. There is nothing wrong with this response. It's ancient, efficient. It has kept you alive. Thank it and let it drain away. If you're lying atop your bolster, begin gentle circles with the top hand. Allow it to trace down your arm to meet your other palm. Then open up overhead and out to the side. Be gentle. Exploratory. Redecorate the rib cage into a heart sanctuary. Very slowly, back out of this pose to find the other side, in full awareness that this side could look very different. Thread the needle or come down to nestle a bolster or rolled blanket into your side ribs, arm along your side or overhead. This time, notice what happens when the shape remains, but the signal changes. The ground, the bolster beneath you, they offer steady contact. The breath deepens without being asked. The side body softens by degrees. As the sensation of support travels along the skin, the alarm begins to quiet. The message shifts from urgency to orientation. The long nerve that listens for safety starts to recognize it. Adrenaline ebbs, warmth returns to the chest. If you're lying atop your bolster, begin those gentle circles with the top hand. Thaw your heart as your serpents lower their guard. As the body senses enough safety to stay present, agency returns in small ways. a fuller breath, a sense of choice, a wider circle. Using breath as your barometer, move mindfully out of this pose and come to your belly for Sphinx. Elbows grounded under shoulders, chest buoyant. We're entering the heart of the Gorgon straight on this time, and you may wish to keep your bolster perpendicular and against your belly as additional support to melt your heart open. The heart of the Gorgon isn't cruel or cold by nature, just overwhelmed by the flood. And now the flood has passed. The waters have surged, receded, and in the quiet aftermath, the ground is soaked. Let your ribs expand like the ground drying after the rain. Flooding resolves not by forgetting, but by integrating. As the chest lifts, the heart warms the body from the inside out. Blood returns to places tightened out of fear. Breath finds room within the sanctuary of the ribs. The hunt ends when the body senses it's no longer prey. And here, Medusa meets herself. Let your chin describe a lazy figure 8, serpents softening. Let your gaze glaze over. Let the front of your chest widen just enough to feel alive. Sensation returns. Presence returns. Choice returns. Push up from Sphinx and take the hips back into a nurturing child's pose. Who was Medusa before the flood? Who is she still? Let your arms reach forward, or don't. Let your knees widen, or don't. Find sanctuary. Freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. 3 colors, even from the lights dancing behind your eyelids. 2 sounds, 1 texture. Ignite your shining sanctuary shield. Connect with the stillness that lives under siege. Invite discernment, your proximity to emotion. Are you numb or are you calm? They can look similar, but they are not the same. Let this pose hold you while you listen for the difference. Detoxify. Purge the venom, patch the wounds. Flooding happens because boundaries fail, not because they exist. Thaw your heart with tender micro-movements. A small rocking of the forehead against the ground. A slight shift of weight through the hips. Your sanctuary shield as container, your breath as guide. Let proprioception, the quiet feedback loop between joints, muscles, nervous system, bring you back inside yourself. No sudden movements. Only the juiciness of what the heart wants right now. Complete these sentences. In my body, I sense, and I feel. Sit with your responses, and with this knowledge, feel yourself returning home. To close our practice, I invite you to join me on your back for Savasana, supported in any way that brings you the deepest rest. Bolster under knees, blanket atop you for warmth, eye pillow close to hand. Come into stillness. Freeze. Become stone. Breathe. Become aware in 3, 2, 1. Ignite your shining sanctuary shield and remember, the gaze that petrifies deserves to rest. If it feels right, gently place an eye pillow or folded cloth over your eyes. Invite discernment as we begin an invocation of opposites. Notice your eyes beneath the mask, closed and still seeing, dark and still aware. Detoxify. Notice the body, heavy against the ground and subtly buoyant. Still and slithery with sensation. Notice the mind, alert and drifting, here and at rest. Thaw. Notice the parts of you that froze. Notice any parts of you that melted, flowed, drained, listened. Integrate. Flooding is not failure. It is information. A system that shuts down is pausing to protect. Take your time to process this information overload. It is rich soil. And as you do, remember, stories are not always what they seem. Water can take many forms after all. Liquid, solid, gas. Recast villains. Myths are absurdities transformed in the retelling. It can be years following a flood before a rainbow appears. Complete these sentences. In my body, I sense and I feel. Sit with your responses and the knowledge that in Savasana, everything takes its place. This practice has flowed between 6 crystalline moments: awareness, sanctuary, discernment, detoxification, thawing, and integration. Each layer offering strategy and solace for difficult times. Through this practice, the flood has been met, metabolized, and allowed to pass. What remains is a new coherence, a body reorganized around breath. Your complexity makes you beautiful. You are Medusa, and you are also her opposite. You are vigilance and rest, snakes and sanctuary. You contain multitudes. You are whole. Rest here for as long as you can. Thank you for your brave practice. I see your light. I honor you.